Hello, successful people.
Welcome back to the Iron Fire Success Channel. I'm TK.
And I'm Mo.
Thank you so much to our subscribers.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
In today's video, we're going to share 10 new construction home building regrets and some advice on how you can avoid them.
And we're going to share some tips that we hope will help you with your building experience.
Let's check it out. Okay, in no particular order, here are our 10 new construction home building regrets and how to avoid them. And if you stick around until the end of the video, we also have some general tips for you too. Now we have our list here that we're going to go from, and then we're just going to discuss each one of these regrets and tips for avoiding them.
So the first thing on our list is having wider hallways.
So in our house, when we designed our custom home, we designed the width of our hallways as well. Now, at the time, we thought that we had the width of each hallway with enough room, and also as we condensed the design to save on square footage and save on costs, we made some hallways a little bit more narrow than others. Thinking about it after we moved in, when we were trying to move certain furniture and our washer and dryer in, it could only come from certain directions because like this hallway to our right is not as wide as the hallway to our left.
Although our hallways are 3.5 feet, the most narrow spots are 3.5 feet. When you get to doorways, there's these little lips, and we'll put a picture up to show you that, where it narrows to about 3 feet.
So, regret not getting wider hallways. How to avoid that? Be mindful of that during the design phase. In most semi-custom builds, you might not have that problem because they might be a standard size, but definitely in a custom build, you want to make sure that you allow enough room in each hallway. Number 2, regret. In one of our bathrooms, and we'll put up a picture or a short video clip where we made it so that you can get into the same bathroom from the hallway and from inside of a bedroom, we do have light switches next to the wall, on the wall, next to where you would come in from the bedroom, but we forgot to make sure there was light switches when you come in from the hallway on that wall so that you don't have to actually walk all the way in the whole bathroom in the dark to turn on the light. And also, speaking of electrical regrets, there was a motion switch that was supposed to be in our pantry on the floor plan that after we moved in, we realized wasn't there. And what do we say about how to avoid that?
When your project manager is actually walking through doing the electrical plan, make sure you do it carefully and take your time.
Yes, because we just missed these things. We were kind of rushing through. And speaking of the drywall inspection, not doing our own inspection in the pre-drywall process is one of our regrets. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So one of the things that we talked about doing, and one of the things that we were advised to do by our real estate agent, family, and people who've done this before was, hey, look, before they close up your walls, you want to make sure you have your own inspector come in and do an inspection. And that's one of the things that we missed doing. And before we knew it, they closed up the walls and we had not got that inspection done. So make sure you do that. We regret not having done that because there were items that were missing that later needed to be fixed, including some stability in the roof.
Yes. So here's another regret of ours that actually turned out not to be a regret, but it is not making a bigger closet. And we'll show the pictures of our closet or a short video clip to show. We have a shared master suite closet. And as soon as we moved in and I unpacked all this stuff, I was like, man, we each should have had our own closet that's the size of this closet.
Well, what did you think?
What did you think about that?
Well, I don't have as many things as, I mean, obviously, you know, you guys know, you watch enough videos, you go to enough models, you know, the ladies usually have the larger part of the closet. So while it worked out for me, of course, once you start unpacking, well, it becomes obvious that, hey, we should have had a bigger closet.
Now, in terms of how to avoid this turned out to be very interesting, and I'll put up a link to a video I just did about how to purge unnecessary and excess clothes and shoes from your closet, because even though I was feeling like, man, I wish I had a bigger closet, really it was just so that I could keep all the stuff that I had. And not having as big a closet has forced me to really take a look at a lot of things I was holding on to that I really didn't need to, and help me get into the mindset of purging and getting rid of unnecessary things. So now I'm kind of glad that we didn't spend money to have square footage, to have a bigger closet for me to keep a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need to keep anyway. But another way to avoid that is think about that in advance.
Yes. So another thing, speaking of size, is your garage size.
Yes.
In Texas, people are really into the garages, and probably in other parts of the country as well. But the garage size is very important. Now, we have a 2-car garage and a 1-car garage that are separate instead of getting the traditional. Because of the way of our house, the way it's designed, we decided to split our garages. Our 1-car garage is on one side and they're facing inward towards each other. So we have a 1-car and a 2-car garage facing each other. But it is the size of the garages. After the house was completed, and now that we're looking back, we wish we would have went ahead and just got two-car garages instead of getting a 1-car garage and a 2-car garage. And
just to add to that, one of the reasons why that's a regret for me is because now that I see how much room there is in the 2-car garage with just 1 car in it, I kind of would like that amount of room in the other garage when there's a car in it, because that car, to me, takes up the majority of the space, as it should. But we could have got two-car garages on each side.
What are you going to use as a closet?
Okay, you got jokes. Actually, probably that's where I would have stashed all the stuff that I would have kept and wouldn't have had to get rid of. Oh, man. Another regret of ours is, and I would say it's not a big regret, but it's something we want to mention to you guys if you're building your home, is windows of variable sizes, curved windows, windows in corners. After we were closing in our house and we started thinking about window coverings, I realized that there are some window sizes that are custom or atypical that makes it really tough to find temporary blinds or shades. And if you have windows on a corner or a curve, it makes it harder to hang curtains and to figure out what to do to cover your windows.
Yeah, and part of what you may want to do if you don't want to have to maybe deal with having custom window coverings or trying to figure out how you're going to cover them yourself would be to stick to the more traditional size of windows. Now, we decided to do this because our builder included as many windows and there was an array of sizes that we could choose from. So if you go back and watch our video of our home, you'll see we have windows of varying sizes. But again, we kind of regret that we didn't stick to maybe one size, particularly in the one room. And we'll show you a picture here where it is a picture window. It's a beautiful view, but because of the odd size, we had some difficulties finding coverings for it.
Yes. Last on this side of the sheet of my notes is builder choice. Now, even though these are in no particular order, I have to say for me, this might be my #1 regret. I love the house. Don't get me wrong. I'm really glad that we did this. But man, that builder got on my last nerve through all parts of the building process. And there are things about the way that this builder handles their clients, things about the way that they switched out project managers, that I feel like had we known that before we chose this builder, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and an example of that is with the garage doors. So I mentioned earlier that our garage doors face in, and because they face in, the railing for the garage doors goes right in front of the entry door. Well, one of the things that our builder did was they did a builder induced change order. And what happens is that you, during the course of your build, you may want to change something about your design or something else in your home. Well, you can do that, or the builder, because if there's something that looks good on paper but it does not necessarily work in terms of structure and design, the builder will present a change order themselves. And that is what happened with us. With our garage doors, originally our opening was 8 feet. All of our entry doors and all of our doors throughout the house are 8 feet tall. Well, the builder put in a change order to change our garage door height from 8 feet to 7 feet, unaware of the impact of that, which is what we regret. We didn't do more research about this. When they lowered the garage door height, it caused the railing to run right in front of our 8-foot door at 7 feet. So
and we'll put up a picture of that. That's actually a separate regret, by the way. That builder choice is a regret, and having that issue with our garage door height is another regret. But that's just an example of why we regret choosing this builder, because we feel like they should not have put in that change order. They should have advised us differently. We should have, had a different choice. But in terms of regretting choosing the builder, what was one of the tips that we have of how to avoid regretting the builder that you chose?
Do plenty of research, and the biggest thing is to drive around the neighborhood, drive around the city, and find people who are currently building with that particular builder and ask them how their experience is, because you may not be able to find things on the internet about that builder, because they may have things, say, in their contract where they have non-disclosure, where or the process for arbitration, instead of going to court, there may not be any court records because nothing ever makes it to court, because they have an alternative dispute process.
Right. So you're looking to see if they ever got sued, and no, they haven't, because
they have an alternative dispute process. So the way you find out is go and talk to people who have built with that builder or are currently building with that builder, and then you'll get the real scoop.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the stained concrete floors that we have. We'll show you what they look like. And it's not that we regret getting stained concrete. We regret getting stained concrete with this builder. Can we talk, please, about why?
Go ahead, elaborate.
Okay. So now, after moving in and we got a look at the floors, closer to move-in, there's so many, it's not even imperfections. There's dings, there's scratches, there's divots, there's like footprints of when somebody walked on the concrete before it was fully dry, during the time that the house was under construction and before the floor was covered. Some crew came in and used spray paint to mark where things belong on the floor. Those being the kind of things that might go down during a regular construction project, where you as the home buyer may cover your floor with carpet or luxury vinyl plank flooring or wood or whatever. But in a stained concrete, there's no covering on the floor. They just come back and stain and shellac it, so every imperfection is now visible in the floor. Now I should say that we know that if you're getting stained concrete, it is a meticulous procedure, a meticulous process, where from the very beginning, at the time your concrete is poured, not only does your project manager have to convey that you're getting stained concrete floors to every other vendor that comes in, but those communications have to be made such that everyone is knowledgeable and on the same page. And we just learned that that was not done during our build. And actually, now that I see how building is done and how many people come through here without the project manager being here or without supervision, I'm really not surprised.
Yeah, and one other thing that we learned about that too is the timing of the stained concrete. We Later learned that they stained our concrete way too soon.
Yes.
So we had all of these dirty trades, as they call them, come through. They came through after the concrete was actually stained.
And dirty trades are like what?
Like you have your painters, not like dirty people, but I mean, you know, your painters, your people who are doing drywall. These folks are not, you know, the normal course of their work is not necessarily cleaning up after themselves. They come in, they throw up the drywall, they slap the paint on, and then things like your flooring and such, cabinets and such, are coming in after them. But the order of things, which is another regret of kind of using the builder, is very, very important. And for us, the impact was that our stained concrete isn't as perfect, or it isn't as good as we would have liked it to have been.
Absolutely. And it was to the point where one of our recommendations to the builder, you know, when they give that after action survey, was stop saying that you do stained concrete, because you don't, or you don't know how anyway. Yeah. So just don't offer it and keep it moving. Okay. And our next regret is that we did not get frameless glass in our 2 showers. Can we talk about that?
In 2 of our bathrooms, we have 0 thresholds. Well, in all of our bathrooms. But in 2 of them, we have glass. And if you don't specifically say that you want frameless glass, what you're going to get is framing around your shower glass. So even though we have 0 threshold.
0 threshold shower.
Showers.
If you were in a wheelchair, you could wheel right in. Yeah. Right? It's flush with the floor.
But if you don't get the frameless shower glass, then you're going to have a frame around your shower glass, which really defeats the purpose of having 0 threshold. So now,
because you don't now, you have this.
You know, we didn't catch that, so now we're going to have to go back and actually get frameless glass for each of those showers, and we'll show you pictures.
Yes. So really, our tip on avoiding this is, like, whatever it is you're choosing in your design, make sure that you've asked the questions and know what other corresponding upgrade or design choice do you have to make to go with that in order to really get the effect that you're paying for in the first place.
Right.
So let me just do a quick recap of our 10 regrets and how to avoid them. Wider hallways, that's a design issue to avoid. Just make sure that you've got your measurements right. The light switches and electrical, that's a proper electrical planning and taking your time doing your walkthrough to make sure that you've checked everything. Bigger closet, that's also a personal choice to be aware of and make during the build and design frame.
Make sure you get your pre-drywall walkthrough before they close up the walls.
Pre-drywall inspection yourself that you pay for. What else? Garage size. You know, again, you know, even though they're standard sizes for 2-car and 3-car garage, you can make them bigger. And I would suggest you do that. Let's see. Windows of variable sizes, curved windows and corners. Just, you know, be mindful of the impacts of trying to find window coverings for that after you move in.
Choice of builder. Make sure you do your research, get out there and talk to people who are currently building with that builder or recently built with them.
The stained concrete pour and the lack of supervision, that's just a matter of education about what it is you're asking for and knowing what the procedure really is to get it done right. So this way, if they're doing it wrong, you'd know.
And if you have things like 0 threshold showers, make sure you check to see what all goes with making those design choices and selections.
So that's the end of our regrets and recommendations on how to avoid. Now let's talk about some general tips just for your knowledge and understanding of things that occur during new construction home building that you need to be aware of.
Go ahead.
Okay, so number 1 is that whoever your project manager is at the time your home starts being built may not be the same person throughout. We've had several project managers, 7 or 8 even, and each person, when they're handing off the job of project management, may do a good or not so good job of recording things, you know, transferring of knowledge, and so you may be dealing with a different person. And I should just add that the significance of that is that the project manager is not physically there all the time during the construction of your home. So the trades, the people who are actually doing the work, are coming into your new home unsupervised by anyone except if there happens to be a supervisor from that particular contractor company. So they're doing whatever they do with no one from the build company necessarily there while it's going on. So you have to say to yourself, okay, if there's nobody from the builder watching and they're coming in and doing whatever, it's really up to whether or not the builder organization is doing a good job after the fact of making sure they're seeing what has been done and whether or not it meets your standards.
Yeah, and a tip that goes along with that is if you're in town, visit your build site as often as possible. If you've been following us, you know that I was here almost every day, and they still do stuff.
Yes.
They still miss things, and you're still going to have some issues, some problems. So you have to manage your expectations and your emotions. But you want to make sure that you can visit your site as often as possible, or ask your real estate agent or a friend or a family member. If you have someone in town that can just put eyes on your project, do it as often as possible.
And take pictures and
Absolutely.
video, because that, us having pictures and video has actually resolved some discrepancies of things that the vendors were saying they did, and they did not.
Yeah, I had on-site video cameras that proved them.
That's right.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, and so, you mentioned this when you were talking about how we got into that regret about the garage door being 7 feet, but our interior doors are 8 feet.
Oh, change orders.
And the change orders. If your builder suggests or imposes a change order and says, oh, change of circumstances, we didn't have enough materials, or now we have to do something differently, read that very carefully and make sure it's something you actually want. Because in the case of our garage doors, we didn't get any warning or advice about the consequences of having 8-foot interior doors and 7-foot garage doors when the garage door and the way you get in from the garage are next to each other.
Yeah, and a simple fix for that would have been for the builder just to allow us to select 8-foot garage doors to go with the 8-foot opening.
And our last tip is be knowledgeable and realistic about the fact that your build may be delayed for any reason. Things that make no sense for it to come up will come up. Our build was delayed largely because of do-overs, right?
Yeah.
Things that you caught and had to then lobby and say, no, you have to do it over, do it right. Or lack of supervision because there was nobody here when somebody did something wrong, and then it takes 2 weeks to get it fixed. That's going to happen. If it does not happen, we are very happy for you, and you have found a good builder.
Yes.
But it happens more often than not. And so have a financial plan and a living plan for what is it that you're going to do in the event that your build is unexpectedly delayed, so you won't find yourself, you know, with a lease that ran out and now you have nowhere to go, or maybe your loan is extended. If you're building a custom home, this could be a problem where you're making these payments to the bank and they expect to get paid back, and now all of a sudden the payments increase because you're asking for extensions. On a semi-custom, you don't really have that issue because you don't owe the builder any money until after you get to the end.
So we hope that you found something useful in this video that will help you in your building process to make it a little bit easier, and you'll have fewer regrets.
Exactly, which is at the end of the day is the exact objective that we have. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate you sticking with us. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more new home construction information and model home tours in and around the San Antonio area.
Until next time, be peaceful, stay prayerful, and count your blessings.